So it's the new year, and what I always like to do first thing in the new year is purchase some new shades of paint to try and go through my collection of paints and see what I want to get rid of. So for some reason, yellow was on my mind first thing this year. So these are 3 yellow shades I already had. I'm going to call them yellow, even though these 2 are more gold, but it's Winsor and Newton Gouache, my beloved Winsor and Newton. That's the only paint I use. Sometimes I'll throw in some Holbein shades, but really I like Winsor and Newton best. This is primary yellow, raw sienna, which is more gold, and yellow ochre. So I'm going to swatch these shades I already have and then show you the new shades I bought. So the first is primary yellow. You can tell I've used this a lot. I don't use it a lot on its own, but it's really nice mixed with other colors like white or ultramarine for a nice vibrant green. So I already have some in my palette here. My biggest complaint about this shade is just that it's not super creamy, which is kind of the thing I'm looking for in gouache shades. It's creamy enough maybe, but I wish it was a little thicker. And then the vibrancy is really nice. I really like the way it looks. So that's kind of my starting point. Again, nice primary shade to mix with other colors because it's a very basic yellow. Next shade I'm swatching, which you can tell I've also used a lot, is yellow ochre. This is really nice mixed with a blue too. You get more of an olive green. So the thing I love about this one is it is super creamy. So you really can't go wrong. And it works really nice on its own too. I just like the shade a lot better than this vibrant crazy yellow of primary yellow, so that's why I use it a lot by itself, but love that shade. And then raw sienna I don't use as much. Again, you could tell by how much paint is left, but it's also a really great tone, and it's also very creamy like yellow ochre. I would say it's not quite as thick, and it's a little more vibrant and orangey. This one's more neutral. So you could see kind of how it's getting more watery at the end of my sample here. Actually, I think I have some old paint on my brush, so that's what you're seeing there, but you get the idea. So those are the 3 shades I already had. Again, probably continue to use these 2 a lot. This one I'm just holding on to, but it's not my favorite and something I would use as much. The first new shade I'm trying out is Naples Yellow. I see a lot of other people using this, but I've never used this one myself. So my palette is really full here, so I'm just going to rotate and put some here. First initial reaction is it's really creamy, which is awesome. This is actually probably like the perfect texture I'd look for in gouache. And wow, it's really pretty too. It's a nice buttery yellow. I would use this a lot. I do prefer these more muted tones. So I'd use this maybe for some buildings or as lights in a night scene. I could see it working with a lot of other colors too. I feel like these neutrals work more with some more vibrant shades of other colors, like a bright blue or a bright pink. Really like this one. Creamiest so far are these 2, which is probably why I like them the best, and they're the most neutral. So the next shade I'm checking out is Cadmium-free Lemon. You may be wondering why the cadmium-free. I'm not sure if I fully know the reason. I know that cadmium is not great for you to have in paint. Not that you're eating paint or anything, hopefully not, but just to be working with it, it's not super safe. I think it's fairly safe, but I just tend to buy the cadmium-frees. Sometimes they're not as vibrant though. So that's just always something to keep in mind. So this is, cadmium-free lemon. So I'm gonna swatch some of this here. Okay, on first impressions are that this one is super creamy too. Love the texture. It's slightly cooler. Wow, you can see how it's even like, you can get way more of a dry brush texture with this one because it's thicker and creamier. It's so unlike me to make a video like this because, I mean, a lot of times I'm just buying the shades that I already have. I'm kind of a stickler about sticking to a limited color palette, but in the last year or so, I've been really into trying. I pretty much have a goal to try every color Winsor Newton has to offer, and I'm very close. So yeah, I really love this shade. This texture is perfect. I would actually say it's probably the creamiest of the three of these, and yeah, it's slightly cooler than primary yellow. And I even feel like it has some white in it maybe, which is why it's so creamy. But I could see using this on its own more than this one. It just feels like a more curated and unique color, I guess. Not the best way to describe it, but yeah, I guess more, yeah, it looks more design forward, shall we say. So that's a good one to keep in mind. I'll definitely be using that one. And then the other shade I'm swatching is Cadmium-free Yellow Pale. So I gotta make room on my palette here. I really should have cleaned this before I did this, but that's okay. These vintage egg dishes are my absolute favorite. So if I'm in a pinch and I don't have time to clean one, I'll use palette paper, but I feel way fancier using these. So so again, this is Cadmium-free Yellow Pale. Wow, first instinct for this too is it's really creamy. Maybe not as creamy as this one, but really close, similar to Naples Yellow and Yellow Ochre. And I would say it's like just a hair different than this one. It's a little darker and more saturated, but I would say these are pretty comparable, and I'd probably go with this one over this one, primary yellow, just based on texture of the paint. It's really nice. Yeah, the texture is amazing. So I definitely don't think I'll be using primary yellow anymore. I'll probably be using this one instead. So the paints I'd recommend here if you're looking for some yellows to buy. And it's funny because yellow isn't even really one of my favorite shades, which is probably why I like such different variations of yellow. But if I were to buy some yellows, I would buy Yellow Ochre, which is this one, Naples Yellow, which is this creamy buttery one, Cadmium-free Lemon, which is this one, and Cadmium-free Yellow Pale. I would skip primary yellow and raw sienna. So hopefully that's helpful, and you can just pick out maybe one of these four that you are more drawn to. I know everyone has a different shade of each color that they're drawn to, so they're not all for everyone, but hopefully that gives you a good starting point. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this. You can also check out my blog and print shop on my website at NicoleCicak.com. Last name spelled Cicak. For more tips and updates, follow me on Instagram at Nicole Cicak for behind the scenes content and inspiration. And don't forget to leave a comment below with your thoughts or questions. See you next time.